Futures now, old man.
What it do, Jose and J Mac here with you for the Week 15 debrief. Jose, man, feeling a little bit under the weather. How you doing today, bud?
Yeah, you guys are gonna hear it come through here. I'm kind of losing my voice. Feeling better than I was on the weekend and when we last recorded. But yeah, just my voice is pretty much shot here. So we're gonna give it the old college try. You guys can no more silk smooth, sultry voice here, kind of raspy, like your uncle at Thanksgiving. You don't see too often telling you a story.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like we should be sitting out on a porch looking over some water with you telling us about the fish that you caught over break. Oh man. But no, I guess in as few words as possible. How was your fantasy week? Did you have a good one?
Yeah. I actually had a type of sweat I haven't had in a matchup in a long time. It came down to HM on that last drive, that last catch put him right there. I ended up winning by less than quarter of a point, so 0.24 if there's no stat correction. But yeah, I mean, I was playing defense the whole time in that matchup. The other matchup that I had was clinched up pretty quickly in the Sunday game. So yeah, man, it was a sweat I haven't experienced in a long time. I can't say I was a fan of it.
Yeah, no joke. A quarter of a point. That's pretty wild. Yeah, I also had a good one. I was only had like four four matchups going. I won them all. One was pretty close. It came down to Achan plus 5 points versus Waddle, and obviously, that game sealed the deal for me. Achan outproduced Waddle by a good 10, 15 points, I think. So hey, I'm in the money in that league. It's feeling good. And I have to say, in the other leagues where I had the buy, I'm glad I had the buy. I would have been out in almost all of those leagues. Yeah, some of my teams did, as a lot of you have probably felt, did not have a good week. Hopefully, you weren't relying on Joe Burrow or Jameer Gibbs or Justin Jefferson or whoever it may be. There was a lot of duds this week, and hopefully, you guys sidestep those ones and hit on some of these big plays here coming into week 15. But yeah, man, I wanted to kind of lead off with this one because I kind of heard this news today and it had me like raising an eyebrow. We've been a pro Jaylen Waddle podcast for a while now, even in terms of dynasty. I think he was one of your buys at the beginning of the offseason or however we put it then. Um, but I don't know, man. The vibes are not good in Miami. Mike McDaniel today quoted saying the quarterback play last night was not good enough. So for me, everything is on the table. And he said that in response to if there's going to be a quarterback change in Miami. And I don't know, man. To me, that just has like alarms going off in my head because I think it's been pretty evident that Mike McDaniel and Tua have their relationships kind of been deteriorating. There's been a lot of, you know, side like I don't, side jabs in press conferences. It sounds like Tua is trying to take on more responsibility than he should as a player, and also putting a lot on the players, but also saying that he's playing two different roles and putting a lot on leadership. So I don't know, man. I didn't even think Tua played all that bad last night. He was 22 for 28 with 253 yards, two touchdowns, one interception, and four sacks. He had a 113.2 QB rating. Obviously, it wasn't great, and a lot of that was achieved in garbage time. So, if you're not taking a microscope and looking at, the fourth quarter, it's probably a lot better. But the game as a whole, I guess it was a little bit unimpressive. But I don't know, man. Like, it's got me kind of scared off of Waddle for the future. Are you feeling similar here? Are you still in on Waddle, based on the two was feels secure, or where are you at with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in on Waddle. I mean, it's one of those things that like The quarterback play could definitely get worse, but at times Tua has been pretty mediocre to bad. I just think the whole situation there is just not working. It needs to change. The head coach needs to change. Like everything kind of just needs to be shaken up. I don't think Tua is going anywhere. I mean, they could do the Broncos thing and cut him and have 50 something crazy million cap dead cap next year, but I just don't see them doing that because they don't say very much at all, so might as well keep him on the roster. They drafted Kuhn Ewers, right? I think he's there. So no, I'm still in on Waddle because I believe in the talent, but it is, like any kind of bad quarterback situation, it's always scary because the team goes as the quarterback goes. So if the quarterback isn't playing very well, it's hard for the wide receiver to really do a lot of scoring.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just overreacting here, and you're probably right that he's still the guy there. We don't see Tyreek really coming back and making a big difference, even if he did. So it just hasn't been great with Waddle either. I think that's part of what doesn't have me feeling so good. I mean, we've seen the highs though, in the middle of the season here, and what Waddle can do in that offense. So yeah, maybe that's fine. I don't know. I had a trade offer. This is what made me think about it. Is I had a trade offer come in a league where there's no deadline. I'm out of it contention, and I put a couple guys on the block, and I had a trade offer come in for Chase Brown and Juwan Jennings, and he was going to send Waddle, Mason Taylor, and a late 26th third. And when I looked at it, I was like, okay, the value feels okay. Like Waddle for Chase Brown, those, I feel like roughly you could cross those guys out. So then we're looking at, Mason Taylor and a third for Juwan Jennings, who I was really the person I was trying to get off of as a rebuilder. He's got some production right now and some value. And yeah, man, I don't know. I just, as good as the value felt, like I just couldn't pull the trigger. Also, Waddle's 27. He just turned 27 in late November. So that kind of like also shocked me. I was like, wow, he's 27. But he turns 27 in the middle of the season. So I don't know. Where would you have made that move?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think I'd prefer to go into the future with Waddle instead of Chase Brown as the kind of main part of the package. But it's definitely a pretty close trade. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's pretty equal, all things considered.
Yeah, I ended up countering with wanting Waddle and Fannin with no pick involved for Chase Brown and Juwan Jennings, and he declined it. So we kind of at a standstill there. But I don't know. Maybe I'll sleep on it and go back to it. But all right, let's move on from the Dolphins there. Let's get into the next piece of news here, which is insult to injury. The Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs, and on top of that, Mahomes has a torn ACL and is out for the season and probably a good part of training camp next year. And from what I hear, maybe even the start of the season. I guess it seems pretty hopeful for that, but not 100% at the very least. So how do you view Mahomes for next year? And I guess also let's first look at, or I guess also let's look at what are the Chiefs for the rest of the fantasy playoffs here.
Yeah, I think they're extremely scary starts. I mean, hopefully you have somebody else. A lot of people are counting on Rashee Rice. I know I particularly was. He pretty much carried me, a big part of it into this playoffs in a league. I think a lot of people are in that situation, and I think it's an extremely difficult start for any Chief, basically. I don't have any trust in Gardner Minshew, maybe after a week of practice. But I thought their matchup is a pretty difficult one, is it not? I can't remember who they play.
They played the Titans this week, and then I don't know who they play week 17.
I guess against the Titans, that's not a powerhouse defense. But with Minshew on their quarterback, it's going to be way, way scarier to start any of those guys, I think. But you might just not have a better player than Rashee Rice or Kelsey. In terms of Mahomes' future, I mean, this is a very late ACL tear. You're talking about mid-December. You could be looking at, him missing, maybe all of training camp, like you were talking about, potentially the season, like into the start of the season. And I think that's very scary, unless you're buying with the thought of using him as a quarterback maybe in 27 instead of next year. I don't know how much, of that upside that we were seeing this year with the
Yeah.
rushing you're going to see coming off a torn ACL. What are the Chiefs going to do? They have a ton of money tied up with very few players. There's going to have to be a lot of shuffling, a lot of, things. This could be finally the year that guys like Andy Reid, Kelsey, maybe do retire. Maybe it's just, or maybe that's not how they want to go out. There's lots of things in the offseason that can really change. So right now, if I'm on Mahomes, I'm probably looking to hold unless somebody's really trying to come after him, thinking, there's a good buy window. I think he's basically a hold. I'm not really trying to buy into it because I think there's way too many things to gamble on that I'm not really willing to risk on right now.
Yeah, it's kind of I'm in the same boat. Like if you're rebuilding, and you have an exit strategy for 2027, then yeah, Mahomes might be some, worth buying into, especially if you're trying to tank for those 2027 elite picks, as we're expecting. I think that's probably the play. And yeah, like Mahomes was on pace to break his rushing record for this year, and I don't think that we're going to see the same kind of Mahomes next year. And it's kind of sad because he was getting it done, and it was nice to see for us in fantasy. And then yeah, man, as far as what the Chiefs are for the rest of this year, I'm kind of still in on Kelsey. It felt like when, from the very, very limited sample size that we got with Minshew in there, he hyper targeted Kelsey. So I don't know if they had some sort of, chemistry already just from practice and whatnot. Those two guys seem like they could get together. They're both characters, so I could see that happening. So maybe Kelsey, but honestly, man, like as far as Rashi Rice goes, this might be a blessing in disguise because now you have the balls to bench him. But before it wasn't great, man. I mean, as far as him getting it done points wise for you coming down the stretch, I don't want to say it's been good. I think he maybe had like one 20-point game in there, but then the rest of it, I think they were like less than 10-point games or something close to that. I don't know if you can fact check me on that there if you have it up or not, but
Yeah, depending on your scoring, I mean, he had less than 10 when last game with Mahomes played most of it. And then he had against Houston's defense where pretty much every Chief was horrible. But before that, he had been in the 20s almost every single game he'd come back except one other one where he also
yeah.
against Denver's defense. So it seemed like he kind of went the way the Chiefs went when they played a top end defense. It didn't seem like he was able to get it done. But I mean, it would have been a really juicy matchup versus Tennessee next week. If Mahomes had been healthy, even if they were out of the playoffs, I feel like everybody would have continued to play. So now with, the loss of Mahomes, it just, like you said, it might just be able to give you the confidence to bench him, but it's always, who are you benching him for? But
Yeah.
it's definitely a scary start no matter what.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Well, sorry to the Chiefs fans out there. Now you guys know what it's like for the rest of us. Yeah. This next guy here, Devontae Adams. He aggravated his quad strain. He's week to week. Kind of feels like he might be out for the rest of the fantasy playoffs here, and they might just kind of save him for the NFL playoffs. It's kind of what I'm expecting. Obviously, we had Devontae Adams in the keeper league that we're in together, and he did enough to help us win the week. Or I guess actually Kyle Pitts did most of the legwork there, but yeah, it's not looking great for that team. I mean, we got a lot of shaky starts going forward. I don't think we can count on much there. But yeah, how is the Devontae Adams injury, if anything, changing anything for the Rams offense for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of brings everybody up. Puka should now be the hyper focus. He should go back to being Stafford's one. Even in that game, it kind of looked like Puka had kind of returned to his prominent role. He got targeted a lot, got lots of big plays. It was sad to see Adams go down. I mean, he had been working on that quad for a while, like last couple of weeks, been missing practices. And yeah, I mean, unless the one seed comes into play, or something else that the Rams would have a reason to bring Adams back. It doesn't make sense for what they are ultimately as an NFL team looking to do, which is win a Super Bowl, right? If he can rest for 3 weeks, maybe they get a bye. If without him they still win, because there's no way I think he plays this Thursday. Then it is a Monday night game following that, so if they needed him, he would have extra rest. But with a quad, an older guy like that, it just doesn't really make sense. So I think you could probably count him out for the rest of the playoffs, which really sucks. I just traded for him in a big, one of my big leagues in Toe Clan. And yeah, it was sad to see. I was there live, see him lay it down on the ground. It definitely looked like he knew something, pretty serious had happened. So it sucks, man. I think everybody else, though, Kyron was still good, even though Blake Corum got his, but Kyron is still the guy, Puka. And then, the tight end by committee, it does seem like Parkinson is kind of maybe sticking out a little bit more than the other guys. It is by committee, and if he doesn't score touchdowns, I don't think you're happy. But if you're playing in some, maybe deeper tight end, two tight end leagues, he could be kind of interesting now without Adams, especially around the goal line. I mean, you would think Puka gets more targets, and then you probably see more running back usage around the goal line now that Adams is gone.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting too, and that's a good shout on Kobe Parkinson. I was gonna ask what your thoughts on him were, but it sounds like you're in him on you're in on him in the deeper leagues. I don't know, maybe you're in him too. No, I'm just kidding. um, yeah, man, and yeah, I don't know. Like they're also saying too that Tyler Higbee it might be coming back this week too, so that could make things even more blurry. So just pay attention to that. If he is coming back, you may not feel as safe with that Colby Parkinson start as you think. Okay, yeah, this next guy. Oh man, this one was pretty scary, and I'm just glad I was looking at my phone when the news came in. But Rome no show Dunze aggravated his foot injury 3 minutes before kickoff. Did he hurt you guys? I almost got caught with my pants down on that one. I was going through all my lineups. I was in my sleeper leagues, and I was maybe like halfway done with them, and I saw the notification come in. And I was like, oh snap! I had him in my starting lineup. He was declared in, and I had to rush over to the Yahoo League really quick, pick up a wide receiver because I didn't even have another wide receiver on my bench. I had Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson in the IR, and that was it. Those are the only wide receivers that I had. So I went and got Parker Washington off waivers, plugged him in. He got me 8 points. So I'm just glad I was paying attention. But that move costed me other moves in sleeper. I didn't finish going through my leagues. I thought I would have more time, and I didn't. So I wasn't able to optimize most of my lineups. Luckily, it didn't really come into effect to all that much, but nonetheless, like you thought you were going to get Rome back here for the fantasy playoffs, and now he's aggravated his foot injury. And honestly, like I don't know how if he comes back. He already missed 2 weeks for this foot injury. This is now the third week, and he re-aggravated it. So I think you're better off just kind of planning for the playoffs and the championship without him. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know what the pivot is, man. I mean, there's not a lot out there for wide receivers on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I don't know what who you could pick up. Maybe you're looking at a Zacchaeus in a deeper like best ball sort of league, but otherwise, like, yeah, I think Rome's pretty much done for what in the fantasy playoffs like you're talking about, because he's probably missing this week, and then from there on his first week back after missing 4 weeks with a re-aggravated foot, I'm not really sure how you could trust him in your championship game if you made it. So I would just plan to not have a Dunze for the rest of, which is actually might be better, because even when he was playing, he was
Yeah.
not doing very much at all. So it might be one of those blessings in disguise type of things.
Yeah, and I think the obvious pivot is to go get Luther Burden if he's available. Yeah, but I mean, there's other guys. If Jaden Reed's available, you could look there. Otherwise, you're taking swings on guys I don't really feel great about. Jalen Coker. Jalen Naylor, Adonai Mitchell. It's pretty bleak out there. Hopefully you have some better options on your bench and you don't have to surf that waiver like I'm going to have to here. Hopefully Marvin Harrison comes back. Hey, we can hope. All right, and the next one here, Woody Marks. He left. I actually don't know what he left with. Was it a shoulder injury?
Yeah, I think so. It was after his touchdown, I think so.
Yeah, and they said that he could have re-entered the game, but he didn't. And in his place, Jawar Jordan, wild. That I had that guy in one of my deep leagues last year. That one was a 16 team, like start 14, and I was like, hey, I think this guy could be something. All last season, he ended up like reverting to the practice squad, coming up, reverting, did nothing. But hey, man, he showed up. He's a tiny little guy. He's only like 5'9". I think he's like 190, something like that. But he got it done against when did they play? The Jets? Or can't remember who they played. I think it was the Jets. So I don't know. Are you picking him up here in hopes of if Woody Marks is gonna be on the waivers, or I mean out? What's your plan with him?
Yeah, I mean the thing that they said that he could have come back, that's kind of really weird.
Cardinals.
Which makes you think that okay, maybe um, he wasn't, that bad. I mean, they play Las Vegas, so should be another game where they're ahead and probably, looking to grind out the game. I mean, you could probably do worse off the waiver wire than maybe a starting running back, but who knows if that was just in desperation because Nick Chubb and Woody Marks were hurt. Maybe Gumpa Wale might have gotten more play if they would have been ready. Who knows? But he's definitely, if he's out there, I think another another running back like Michael Carter of the Cardinals, who's looking like maybe he's going to be thrust into a starting role. Maybe they're worth picking up, and you never know. I mean, there's other guys that are banged up. There's other injuries that might pop up. They're definitely, and if anything, just to play keep away, right? Like if you
Yeah.
have the leftover fab and there's a potentially starting running back out there, even if you don't plan to play him, pick him up because you'd hate for your opponent to pick him up and play him against you.
That's kind of where I'm at with Jawar Jordan, I think, because I don't really want to start him in the semis here. But if my opponent had Woody Marks, that's where I want to pick up Jawar Jordan. And if I was counting on Woody Marks and there's nobody else out there, like I'm rolling with it. Honestly, like I could see Woody Marks sitting out this week. Houston is, I think they're pretty confidently in the driver's seat to win their division, so they're heading to the playoffs, and they might be hoping to get Woody Marks here healthy, so for that playoff stretch. But yeah, hopefully you guys don't have to rely on Jawar Jordan there. But one guy I was relying on here is Travis Etienne, the money. Oh man, his role in this offense is wild and flourishing, man. And now Tootin is hurt. It's just wheels up for Travis Etienne. He was 12 for 32 on the ground. Not all that impressive, but he ended up having 4 targets, 3 catches for 73 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the passing game. And we were talking about this, before. I think, going into like week 10, planning for the playoffs and stuff, and how Etienne, his role was growing in the passing game, and he was seeing a lot more target share, and how efficient he was being with those targets and catches. And here he is, man. He's getting it done. He was the running back 2 on the week, or running back 1 on the week. He was right there next to Travion Henderson. So hey, I have a lot of Travis Etienne, and I'm hoping for more of what we got here. It's a little bit of a tougher matchup this week. I think they go against Green Bay, if I'm remembering. Denver. Yeah, they go against Denver. So
yeah, so you got a much kind of more difficult matchup. It's obviously 4 catches and 3 touchdowns out of that is not going to be something that's but it's good to see that he's getting involved, right? Like
yeah,
you can't have the chances to score receiving touchdowns if you're not even getting the ball thrown to you. So he's the type of guy who we've been talking about. All of a sudden next year we're looking at back, and it was Travis Etienne was a top 5 running back throughout the entire fantasy playoffs. It might be a little bit more difficult versus Denver. You might have to temper your expectations, especially after such a giant boom game. But like you said, his backup is now pretty much gone, so they're going to have to rely on him even more. They're in it for a race for their division. These is must-win games that they're in, and they seem to be, trusting him. Trevor Lawrence is playing at a much better level, or at the level that I think a lot of people were hoping to see him play at. So it's all going in the right direction for ETN, right? Like, that's, as a manager who has a lot of ETN like yourself, this is exactly what you want, right? This is the stars aligning for you to win a championship off the back of Travis Etienne. I sadly don't have much. I have to play against Travis Etienne, so sorry, I'll be rooting against you this particular week. I'm playing against that manager, but yeah, I mean, it was very hot at the beginning. It cooled down in the middle of the season there a little bit, and then ever since pretty much their bye week, it seems like they committed to making him a focal part of the offense, and they've been winning a lot of games doing so. So it's all going in the right direction.
Yeah, man. And I don't know if you caught it, but he had one touchdown where he had to lay out for it. Trevor Lawrence just kind of laid one in right over a defender. And yeah, ETN had to, dive for it. And it was, oh man, such a great catch. He is such a good receiver. And that's really where he makes the difference, in terms of fantasy running backs. So keep it going, ETN. Hey, man. Josh Jacobs got it done against Denver. He had 2 receiving touchdowns, so I believe in ETN here. Let's go, baby.
I think it was 1 receiving touchdown, wasn't it?
Was it
2
was it 1?
I know he mossed the guy, because I was like, wait, that's Josh Jacobs? Like, they don't throw him the ball, and he's out there mossing dudes with a bum knee. Yeah, that was great. I mean, that saved my.
I thought it was 2.
It was 2.
Just because I remember the broadcast being like, oh yeah, and remember Josh Jacobs was having trouble getting in 1 receiving touchdown. Like, didn't he go like 3 years or something like that without a receiving touchdown?
No, it wasn't rushing. It was like a 20-something or 30-yard run by Jacobs that they scored on, and then he was receiving. But yeah, I mean, he literally has like barely any catches. It's not something he does at all, and that was awesome. Yeah, I mean, if I had to rank Josh Jacobs against ETN, I definitely would lean on the Jacobs side. But I mean, the offense is clicking, and Denver has shown that they will give up some points. They're not unfallible defense. So if Trevor Lawrence can continue to play well, then ETN, I think, will obviously have a good game, because they're going to need to put up points, because Denver's definitely going to put up points.
Yeah, man. And hopefully Brian Thomas Jr. can kind of build off the performance he had there too, because he had a decent one. It wasn't, groundbreaking by any means, but if he can build off that and kind of continue his role there, like we want to see, let's build on that. Yeah, Josh Jacobs may not be able to catch the ball that well, but you know who can? Hendogini, baby. He had another monster game here with 14 rushes for 148 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 big breakaway runs, both of them over 40 yards. I think it was like a 48 and a 52-yard. Then he had 2 catches on 3 targets for 13 yards through the air. He only played 48% of the snaps, but he had 70% of the running back rush share. 14 of 20 rushes by the running backs. He had 14 of them. Wild, man. This is exactly what we want to see. We don't care if he's only getting 48% of the snaps. He just needs to see 15 plus touches in a game so that he can break them off and take it the distance for the touchdowns. And as you can see, 148 yards later, hopefully he was in your starting lineup and won you some weeks here, because Hendogini, the governor is off, the boot is gone, the HOA has no more complaints here. We are live, baby.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were hoping for, right? And I mean, I guess it took the Ramondre injury there in the middle of the season to kind of finally unlock him. I'm not sure what what the Pats were maybe seeing at practice, or who knows what was going on. But the fact that he's still playing less than 50% of the snaps is still kind of crazy to me. But Ramondre's there to stay. Like we talked about, this is the Gibbs, light comparison, but this is Gibbs-esque in the playoffs, kind of, breaking out, doing what he needs to do. You hope that it doesn't always have to be a 60-yard or whatever it was, long rushing touchdown to get it done. You hope that they give him more consistent work, but it's always great when you have that player that, just like Gibbs, like Saquon, like JT, like any of those
Mhm.
guys, right? They have the ball in their hand. It doesn't matter. It could be a touchdown anywhere on the field, which is always amazing when you're playing one of those guys because you know that any moment you could kind of flip a matchup with one play. So, yeah, I mean, he's awesome. We're, glad the HOA is kind of backing down. His lawyers are working at double, clearing the fines, clearing the boot off, all this stuff. But we're really happy, especially on our this podcast, to see Hendo Gini doing his thing.
Oh yeah, man. He's keeping me in it in a couple leagues, and I'm gonna be relying on him again here. He's got that schedule. He's got that schedule. We've been saying it, so hopefully that continues to shine here. Yeah, a couple other stars here. Amon-Ra St. Brown went absolutely nuclear. 18 targets, caught 13 of them for 164 yards, and caught 2 touchdowns through the air. Jameson Williams was no slouch either. Unfortunately, both of them coming through on their performances meant that Jahmyr Gibbs had to kind of take the back seat there. So hopefully you guys had the bye week if you had Jahmyr Gibbs on your roster, but don't worry if he'll be back. I'm not really worried about his slow performance there. I think the Lions just saw to attack the Rams through the air versus the ground.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing doing it. Like I said, I was there live at that game, and the Rams, maybe that was their commitment, or I don't know, but it seemed like they were not going to give up anything on the ground. There was almost no holes at any point. Gibbs was making, 5-yard runs out of things that should have been losses, making multiple guys miss, but there was just the pursuit of those guys, those linebackers and the linemen of the Rams is something to admire when you're watching live. You don't get the angle when you're watching on TV because they focus, the way it looks, but their pursuit to the ball, man, it is nasty. So it just makes sense. Like it's not a defense that you want to, play a running back against it, and they were able to exploit the passing game. I mean, Amon-Ra, I don't think had a game like that pretty much all season. So, he came through, I think, for a lot of people in big ways. He almost knocked me out. But yeah, I mean, you hope that the Lions get a little bit more balance next week. They're still in it. I think they're right on the edge of making the playoffs. I think they're outside looking in right now, so they have a lot to play for. So we'll see, how that goes. But yeah, I mean, if you made it through with Gibbs, or if you were on bye, then you're just thankful. Gibbs had his down week. It's been a little bit of stop and go with Gibbs. So you're hoping that now it's the go button. But you just hope that they're not going to play the Rams defense every week. So it should be a lot better next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and hopefully the Rams can take down the Seahawks next week. Let's go. All right, and then we're running a little bit long here, but I wanted to point out Trey McBride has just been an absolute stud. If he was wide receiver eligible, he'd be the wide receiver 4 on the year. And then one guy you wanted to say some words about was Tyrone Tracy, man. He had a big game, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was looking like, I know people were on the Singletary thing, but it seemed like right before he got injured that it was Tyrone Tracy's show. He kind of had taken his job back. Singletary did well when he was gone, but I think the bye week happening right before the playoffs meant that he could get healthy. You hope that who do they play? The Commanders, or they played the Commanders? They play. I can't remember who they play, but I remember thinking that it wasn't such a horrible matchup for.
Yeah, they have easy matchups. I want to say maybe.
Who are they playing? They're playing Minnesota, so that's
Minnesota.
that's a tough one. But I mean, Javonte Williams was able to get it done. The offense doesn't seem to be taking a step back. Jackson Dart looked pretty good, was moving the team. Tracy gets involved in the passing game, so you could do worse than Tyrone Tracy as your flex or running back 2 in the semis, I think.
Yeah, he might even be on waivers. People might have dropped him in light of Singletary kind of getting that workload. So. All right, man, let's roll the outro here. Hopefully you guys had a good week 15. You're in the semis here. Keep locked in here. We'll have another episode coming out Friday, and we'll talk some more Dynasty, some more redraft, and we'll keep you guys going strong to get those championships. Keep getting those dubs, and stay plugged in after the season ends. We got a lot more Dynasty content coming your guys' way.
Yep, as always, guys, please like, comment, follow. We're at Future First Pod on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Pods, all the things, guys. Thanks for staying with us. We'll see you.
Give us those thumbs up, like the content, comment with us, guys. Who was your saving grace this week? Who killed you? Put it down below. We'll see you guys on the other side. Go get those dubs.